Hello to everybody. It's a very nice time to think about pilgrimages when we are lacking the opportunity to travel. And I would like to greet the organizers. Thank you very much, Benes, and also Beruta. And I would like to thank also the mayor of Rosenius region for the presence, for organizing this thing. And of course, thanks to His Eminence Bishop. You summarized the very essence of the theme, I think, and thank you for your introduction. And I think that the previous person speaking, they were very practical, and I want to thank them for arranging things. Since hospitality is a basic virtue in Christianity, very important to show it to everybody who is going in the pilgrimage. I will speak more from the point of view of anthropology and phenomenology. The theme of my presentation is Homo Viator, what makes life a pilgrimage? I should like to start my reflection with the paradoxical sentence from Christianity's foremost existentialist philosopher of the 20th century, Gabriel Marcel. The quote is, "Perhaps a stable order can only be established on the earth if man always remains acutely conscious that his condition is that of traveler." With this sentence, Gabriel Marcel concludes one of his essays in his book Homo Viator, Introduction into the Metaphysics of Hope. Here he offers a phenomenological and anthropological perspective which outlines man as a pilgrim. To be always on the way, that is condition which characterizes human life. Homo Viator, or as Marcel calls him, itinerant man, is an outstanding example of the philosophy concerned not with technical problems, but the urgent problems of man. Marcel talks to our human condition, emphasizing our urgent need of hope. Thus discovering beyond the lack of stability the values on which we may depend. We move out of our territory of comfort and security in a hope to discover something more. Something we are missing, something of what we have difficulty to find the right word. Something we rather comprehend with our intuition. Analyzing this surprising texture of human experience, Marcel discovers that source of this urge for traveling is a certain metaphysical uneasiness within us, guided by the Spirit of truth. He relates our consciousness of being travelers with a hope. Our own pilgrimage starts in hope. This idea could serve as Adrian's thread guiding us in the search of the answer to the question, what makes life a pilgrimage? Philosophers and poets in different centuries have offered us various visions of journeys. For instance, Homer's Odyssey, Plato's inner journey of the soul from the darkness towards light, from ignorance towards knowledge of yourself, the powerful image of pilgrimage to the Holy Land in medieval culture, Dante's spiritual journey in Divina Commedia, and perhaps the most challenging example of postmodernist prose, the great poem of Benedict Yerofeyev, Moscow Petushki. Let us look at just two above-mentioned classical examples of literature. Homer's Odyssey, composed around 8th or 7th century before Christ, and postmodernist prose poem by Russian writer and satirist Benedict Yerofeyev, Moscow Petushki, written between 1969 and passed around in samizdat. It was first afterwards published in 1973 in Israel and later in 1977 in Paris. Despite of all sorts of differences, there is a motive of journey, the motive returning home, which fills the life of both heroes with hope and meaning. Homer's Odyssey is a major ancient Greek epic poem attributed to Homer. It is one of the oldest works of literature still read by contemporary audiences. It tells about Greek hero Odysseus, king of Ithaca, and his journey home after Trojan War. After the war itself, which lasted 10 years, his journey lasted for 10 additional years. In his absence, Odysseus was assumed dead, and his wife Penelope and son Telemachus had to contend with a group of men who were competing for Penelope's hand in marriage. For us, it is important that a substantial part of Odysseus' life, almost 20 years, is related to wandering around with a hope to return home to his wife and son in Ithaca. In this poem, the crucial themes are idea of nostos, return, wandering, xenia, or hospitality. Odysseus' life lives with a hope to return home and regain the lost life in love and harmony. Yerofeyev's work, Moscow Petushki, tells the story of alcoholic intellectual Venya or Venichka as he travels by a suburban train from Moscow to visit his beautiful beloved and his child in Petushki, a town that is described by the narrator in almost utopian terms. It is surprising how the narration of this journey gradually transforms from the casual comic or maybe satirical mood into metaphysical description of human life as a desperate striving to return and to reach the destination of home. It is a paradox how with the increasing speed of the train, the reader is carried from the comedy to a tragic feeling that the destination of this journey is definitely not in this world. Moreover, the picture of the place where his beloved wife and child dwell acquires the image of paradise. So also in this case, we can say that traveling here is related to the intuition or reminiscence of better place, and with a hope which burns the heart of Vanechka, that he will finally be there and give the presents to his beloved. Now let us turn also to the powerful example of pilgrimage to Jerusalem. Holy scriptures have shaped Christian and Jewish perception of pilgrimage. Like, for instance, in Psalm 122, we read, "At last our feet are standing at your gates, Jerusalem." There is a whole group of such pilgrimage psalms. Jesus also is going on pilgrimage. We know it from the narrative of the evangelist Luke. Whereas his last trip to Jerusalem is quite different. He hardened his face, we read. On the Palm Sunday, he enters Jerusalem on a donkey. It is triumphal entry, but this triumph is pacifistic. Jesus arrives in peace, rather as a war-waging king on a horse. Maybe some of us will ask, why should we travel so far? Maybe Jerusalem and the places related to Jesus in the Holy Land are more intensely present in my meditations, prayers, and readings of the Bible than in modern Jerusalem, where there are so many distractions which prevent to experience the holy there. Today's world offers endless opportunities for traveling. So for many, it has become a passion to collect the places on the map where one has been. In a way, life turns into a restless race, wandering around the world. One can ask why the visiting of place, locus, is important. What makes the transfer from one point to another meaningful? Maybe the true pilgrimage is a spiritual journey into yourself. We like to travel to mountains or some other beautiful places. Nature fascinates and inspires with its universal beauty and brings up the eyes of our soul from beautiful creation to the contemplation of the author of this beauty. But the sacred places are related to a certain historical event, and through history to incarnation. The eternity that has incarnated into time. We come there to this place to remember, to be present, and reunited to the meaning of this event, so that the place and the past event continues to shape my life. In this context, the idea of evangelization of culture, an idea of incarnation theology, becomes very fruitful for contemplation. The Temple of Jerusalem is a special place of God's presence. Its significance does not depend on the amount of visitors or the splendor of religious festivities. Likewise, in many Christian sanctuaries, for example, Fatima and other places, they are sanctuaries independently of what is going on there. The decisive thing is what has happened there and what kind of message was or is received there. 3 days of festivities in Aglona 8 days in Silo. Sanctuaries are related to festivities and activities. We arrive there to celebrate, to enjoy, to be on our way to the place of pilgrimage where we participate in the Holy Mass, processions, ceremonies, activities. This is the goal of pilgrimage as well. Such it was also for the Jews when they made their pilgrimage to the Temple of Jerusalem to participate in the annual festivities. The pilgrimage to the festivities in the sanctuaries has a great power of evangelization. It underlines the importance of the celebrated mystery, allows to understand, or at least to get closer to its meaning. The process of religious tourism and pilgrimage itself contains pedagogical potential of learning the truth about faith. Such events have to be promoted and supported. Independently from pandemic, the process of secularization has influenced the Western culture. It is forcing to introduce changes in religious activities and also pilgrimages. People today prefer comfort, recreation, sport activities, entertainment. Undertaking some difficulties in the name of spiritual ideals has become almost an anachronism. Therefore, the pilgrimage today needs comprehensive research in order to understand what is essential and what is secondary. And I would like to thank the previous speakers, both from Portugal and from Lithuania, about taking care that the proper meaning of religious symbols and the meaning of what is happening in sacred place is taken care by you, that you care for this hospitality, which is so important for all the pilgrims and people who visit these places. Thank you for your attention.